The stiletto hit her ribs before she even had a chance to register what was happening. Amanda stumbled backward, crashing into a display of designer handbags, Christmas decorations scattering like fragile snowflakes around her. The marble floor reflected the overhead chandeliers, and for a brief, suspended moment, the entire mall seemed to hold its breath. Her elbow slammed against the metal edge of the stand, a sharp sting spreading through her arm as she went down. Bags spilled across the floor. She looked up, blood dripping down her arm, and saw him, Daxton, her ex-fiancé. The same smug, entitled man who had left her destitute 3 years ago. The man who had stolen everything she had worked for, and worse, abandoned her while she was carrying his child. "Stay down where you belong, Amanda," he snarled, his voice dripping with disdain. He had no idea that the broken girl he remembered, the one who had cried in her car with barely $17 to her name, who had lost her baby from starvation and heartbreak, was gone. That girl had been replaced with someone he would never recognize. Someone strong, untouchable, and ready to turn his life upside down. Amanda's trembling fingers found her phone as it vibrated in her purse. The screen flashed a name that made her heart both flutter and calm: Juno Kyung. Her husband. The man whose presence alone could silence a room, and whose reputation beneath the surface of Seoul was untouchable. "Are you hurt?" his calm, measured voice asked. The realization spread across Daxton's face like wildfire. He had kicked the wrong woman. The mall's security cameras caught everything. The shoppers were frozen, some already taking out phones, recording the scene. Amanda's arm throbbed, but her mind was a whirlwind. Juno's motorcade would be there in minutes, and when it arrived, Daxton would learn exactly what it meant to underestimate someone. Earlier that morning, Amanda had stood in her penthouse, surrounded by the trappings of a life she had clawed her way into. Her walk-in closet stretched like a gallery of fashion, but she had picked a simple black dress, preferring understated elegance over ostentation. It was a habit from a life of having nothing, a subtle defiance of the world she had once begged to care. "You're doing it again." Juno's voice came from the doorway, smooth and commanding. His tailored three-piece suit clung to him like armor. His dark hair was slicked back, his eyes sharp, scanning her with that mix of affection and intensity that had made her fall in love with him. "Doing what?" she asked, clipping on pearl earrings. "Choosing the least expensive things you own," he said, stepping closer. "You're married to one of the wealthiest men in Seoul. Stop treating your wardrobe like a thrift store." She laughed softly, a sound he had memorized over countless quiet mornings and long nights. "I like simple things." He kissed her neck, just beneath the earlobe, and his lips lingered. "You humor me by loving me as you are," he said, voice dropping to that dangerous whisper that always made her stomach flutter. "Now listen. Today you're going to the mall. Christmas shopping. I won't be long, but you're taking security. Jin and Taeyong. No arguments." She raised an eyebrow. "Bodyguards? Baby, it's just shopping. You know who I am, Amanda. You know what that creates. You do not leave this house unprotected. Non negociable." The steel in his voice brooked no challenge. Amanda cupped his face gently. "Okay, I'll take them," she said, and the tension left his shoulders. He checked his platinum watch, a gift he'd insisted was worth more than her first car. "I have a meeting. Back by 7. Dinner at 8. Wear the red dress. The one I can't stop thinking about removing." Heat flushed her cheeks at his words, but she smiled nonetheless. "Insatiable, aren't you? Only for you." He kissed her once more, lingering, leaving her breathless. 2 hours later, Amanda walked through the Gangnam luxury mall with Jin and Taeyong keeping a discreet distance. The mall gleamed like a cathedral of wealth. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, gold and silver everywhere, Christmas decorations reflecting an almost impossible perfection. She had just exited a boutique, bags in hand, when her eyes locked onto a figure leaning against a Louis Vuitton display. Daxton. The man had not changed. Same smug grin, same expensive taste funded by other people, same swagger that had once been intoxicating and now made her stomach twist with rage. The woman at his side was dripping in designer labels, just another extension of his entitled world. Amanda's hands trembled. She nearly dropped the bags. 3 years. 3 years she had believed she'd healed, believed the memory had faded. But seeing him now reopened every wound. Daxton's eyes found hers. Recognition flashed, then shock, then contempt, the cruel mask he always wore so well. "Amanda," he drawled, voice thick with condescension. "Didn't expect to see you here. I thought you'd still be shopping at thrift stores." Her voice, small but fierce, rose above the echoing mall. "I have nothing to say to you," he sneered, circling her as if she were prey. "Still bitter, I see. Though I must admit, you've cleaned up a bit. Found some desperate man to pay your bills, I suppose. That's always been your talent, hasn't it? Playing victim until someone takes pity on you." Amanda's chest tightened. "You left me with nothing," she said quietly, her voice trembling. "You stole everything from me." Daxton laughed, loud enough to draw attention. "Stole? Baby, I liberated myself. Best decision I ever made. You were always so needy, pathetic, expecting me to take care of you while you couldn't even manage your own life. You got pregnant. Was I supposed to care? You probably did it to trap me. Thank God I escaped when I did." Her vision blurred, and the woman by his side stepped closer, linking her arm possessively with him. "Is this her?" she asked, eyes sharp with barely concealed disgust. "The ex you told me about?" "Ex-stalker," Daxton corrected, his voice full of venom. "I never stalked you," Amanda shot back, fury rising. "I didn't make a scene." "You always embarrass yourself," he interrupted, turning to leave. Something inside Amanda snapped. 3 years of rebuilding, of nights filled with tears and hunger, of questioning why she wasn't enough, all of it erupted. "You destroyed me," she said, voice breaking. "I lost everything because of you. Our baby died because of you." He spun, rage twisting his features. "Don't dare try to guilt me with lies." "It's not a lie," Amanda screamed, tears threatening to fall. "I lost our baby because I was starving, homeless, and alone." Daxton moved toward her aggressively. Jean stepped in instantly, hand brushing the concealed weapon in his jacket. Taeyong pulled out his phone, ready to call Juno. Daxton scoffed. "You hired some muscle to make me feel important? How much are you paying them?" Before he could push further, his hand struck Amanda's shoulder, sending her crashing into a display. Merchandise scattered. Her dress tore at the shoulder, her elbow bleeding. The mall went silent again, all eyes on the chaos. "Stay down where you belong, worthless," Daxton hissed. Jean and Taeyong moved with lightning speed. Jean twisted Daxton's arm behind his back, forcing him to the ground. Taeyong moved to help Amanda to her feet, his face pale, not for fear of her, but for what was coming. Amanda's phone rang. Junyu-kyung. Her fingers trembled as she answered. "Are you hurt?" he asked, calm but deadly. I'm fine," she whispered, though the pain in her elbow and chest said otherwise. "Who touched you?" "My ex. Daxton," she admitted, handing the phone to Taeyong so Juno could assess the situation. 10 minutes. That was all it would take. In 10 minutes, the world Daxton knew would collapse, and he still had no idea what he had done. Amanda's hands were still trembling when Taeyong guided her toward the security office. The throng of shoppers had already gathered around the scene, phones out, whispers cutting through the glossy Christmas air. Jean kept Daxton pinned to the ground, his expression tight, ready for any movement. Amanda's heart pounded, adrenaline mixing with pain and humiliation. Every breath reminded her of the years she had suffered, the nights of tears, the ache of a lost child, and the life she had clawed back from nothing. Her phone buzzed again. Junyu. She handed it to Taeyong, watching his pale face as he listened, translating rapidly into Korean. Amanda's stomach tightened. Juno's voice was ice calm, but there was an edge, the kind of controlled danger that could freeze anyone in their tracks. "I'm 10 minutes away," Juno said, his voice clipped, each word deliberate. "Do not let him leave. Do not let security release him under any pretense. Use my name if you have to." Amanda swallowed hard, nodding. Even though Taeyong had already understood, she glanced at Jean, whose expression was unreadable, but taut with anticipation. Minutes later, the door opened, and Juno stepped in. Every eye turned, and the air seemed to compress. He was still in his meeting suit, sleek and perfectly tailored, but the aura around him had shifted. Calm had been replaced by lethal intent. His 6 men flanked him, all silent, all dangerous, all trained for situations exactly like this. He ignored the security staff entirely, his gaze fixed solely on Amanda. He crossed the room in 3 measured steps and cupped her face in his hands, gentle as though she were fragile, though the room knew better. "Let me see," he whispered, dark eyes scanning the cuts and torn fabric. "It's just a scratch," Amanda murmured. But he shook his head slightly, disbelieving. His thumbs brushed against her tears, smudging the streaks that ran down her cheeks. Someone had dared to lay a hand on her. And in Juno's mind, that was unforgivable. "Who did this?" he demanded, voice low, controlled, and deadly. Amanda swallowed, shaking. "Daxton, my ex, he attacked me." Juno's expression hardened. Without another word, he shifted to rapid Korean, giving commands to Taeyong and Jean. The intensity in his tone sent shivers down Amanda's spine. He was dangerous, yes, but also precise. Calculated. He would not act out of emotion, not yet. "I'm going to make sure he never touches you again," Juno said, voice softening for her only. "He will not even think your name without terror. Trust me." Amanda nodded, fighting the rising surge of fear and awe. She had loved him for his calm presence, but now, seeing that calm twisted into something lethal, she realized just how powerful he truly was. Minutes later, Daxton was still in the adjacent room, strapped into the security office chairs after Jean, and Taeyong had restrained him more securely. His girlfriend, pale and panicked, screamed every few seconds, threatening and pleading in turn. Juno ignored them. He turned back to Amanda, brushing her hair back gently. "Tell me everything," he said softly. "I need to know who I'm dealing with." Amanda inhaled shakily. She had never told anyone the full depth of Daxton's betrayal. The story she had given him before was only the surface. Abusive ex, hard times, moved to Seoul for a fresh start. Now, she felt compelled to open the wounds fully. "His name is Daxton Wellington," she began, voice quiet, trembling. "We were together for 3 years, engaged for 6 months. I thought he loved me. I worked 2 jobs to support us while he figured out his life and built his business. I paid the rent, the bills, bought his clothes, his car, everything." Juno's jaw clenched, but he stayed silent, listening intently. Amanda swallowed back tears, continuing. "Then I got pregnant. I was happy, scared, but happy. I thought he'd be happy too, that we'd build a family together. But one day, when I was 4 months along, he disappeared. Took all our money, my money, emptied our accounts. Left a note saying he couldn't be tied down to a desperate woman and her trapped baby." Her voice cracked, and Juno pulled her close, holding her tightly. She could feel the tension vibrating through him, raw, palpable. "I lost the apartment, my jobs, everything," she whispered against his chest. "I lived in my car for weeks, tried to eat, tried to survive. And then one morning, I woke up covered in blood. I had lost the baby. I had nothing left. No home, no support, nothing. Junho's gripe. He didn't speak. There was no comfort in words. His silence alone was enough to terrify, and Amanda knew it. "I rebuilt myself," she continued, voice barely audible. "I applied for a teaching position in Seoul. I wanted to escape that life. And then I met you. You gave me a life I never imagined. Loved me when I thought I was unlovable." Juno's thumbs wiped her tears, his expression softening. "You were already strong," he said quietly. "I just recognized it. You're the strongest person I've ever met. But ghosts," he paused, lips pressing to her temple. "Ghosts can be made to vanish. I am very good at making problems disappear." Amanda could only nod. The danger radiating from him was terrifying, but she trusted him with everything. After a long, tense silence, Juno straightened, fixing his suit with precision. "Stay here," he commanded. "I need to handle this. It won't take long." Amanda's stomach dropped. "Juno, please. Just don't do anything reckless." He kissed her deeply, possessively, the contrast between tenderness and the deadly aura he radiated sending shivers down her spine. "Trust me," he whispered, and then he was gone, his men following silently. Through the thin walls of the security office, Amanda could hear Daxton's aggressive voice. About damn time someone with authority showed up. I want that crazy woman arrested. His words cut off abruptly. Juno's low, controlled voice followed, indistinct but undeniably dangerous. Amanda's pulse quickened. She moved closer to the small observation window and watched as Juno lifted Daxton effortlessly by the throat and slammed him against the wall. Daxton's feet dangled, his face red, eyes wide with fear. My name is Juno Kyung, her husband said, voice loud enough for everyone to hear. The woman you touched is my wife. Do you understand what that means? Daxton gasped, scrambling backward. I didn't know. I swear, I didn't know she was married. Juno laughed, cold and sharp. You think I am angry because of a document? No. I am angry because you destroyed the woman I loved before I even knew her. You left her pregnant, homeless, abandoned her, stole from her, caused her to lose a child, and now you dared to touch her again. Daxton's face went white. She's lying, she's lying. Juno's foot connected with Daxton's ribs, the sound of bone cracking echoing through the office. His laughter was low, venomous. An apology means nothing. Remorse is worthless. You set events in motion that you cannot undo. You cannot stop what comes next. He straightened, calm and terrifying. Pull up his details, he commanded. One of his men tapped rapidly at a tablet. Daxton Wellington, age 32, Wellington investment firm. Father's company, salary $275,000, the man reported. Juno's dark eyes flicked back to Amanda. And that is just the beginning of his consequences. He will learn exactly what it means to hurt you. Amanda's heart raced. Her chest still ached from the shove, her elbow throbbed, her dress torn. But watching Juno, she felt a strange, unshakable certainty. Daxton had no idea what was coming. Amanda sat in the security office, the pain in her elbow throbbing in tandem with the ache in her chest. The scrape had been cleaned, but it was nothing compared to the reopening of old wounds. Every second of Daxton's presence reminded her of nights spent crying in her car, of the tiny apartment she had lost, of the baby she had never been able to hold. Jean and Taeyong remained vigilant, their eyes darting to every sound outside the door. Amanda's mind, however, was fixed on Juno. Minutes later, the security door opened, and the sound of footsteps, slow, deliberate, and carrying the weight of absolute control, echoed in the hallway. Juno entered, his expression unreadable, the calm mask replaced by something far more dangerous. His tailored suit seemed incongruous with the raw power in his movements. His eyes, black and unyielding, locked on Amanda for a moment before scanning the room. Are you okay? His voice was soft but carried the edge of someone who would annihilate anyone who had dared to harm her. Amanda nodded, though her hands shook. I'm fine, she said, but Juno wasn't fooled. He stepped closer, cupping her face gently, his thumbs brushing away the lingering tears. You're bleeding. Your elbow, your shoulder, everything else. She shook her head. Nothing else. Her voice faltered. It's the rest that hurts. The past. He didn't speak, only tightened his grip for a moment before releasing her. Juno turned toward the hallway. Show me him, he said to Jean and Taeyong. Now. Through the observation window, Amanda saw Daxton's face pale as Juno entered the adjacent room. Daxton's girlfriend shrieked, trying to pull him back, but he was frozen in place. Juno's presence alone rendered him helpless. Juno approached slowly, deliberate, letting the tension build. Every movement was precise, predatory, calculated. Then, without warning, he grabbed Daxton by the throat and lifted him effortlessly off the ground. Amanda's breath caught. My name is Juno Kyung, he said, his voice cold and deliberate. The woman you hurt is my wife. Understand? Daxton's legs kicked in desperation. I didn't know. I didn't know she was married. Juno's laugh was low, deadly. You think this is about a legal document? No. This is about the destruction you caused years ago. You left her pregnant, homeless, abandoned her, stole her money, and caused her to lose her child. And now you dared to touch her again. Daxton's face turned ashen. She's lying. It's a lie. Juno's foot connected with Daxton's ribs, the sound echoing through the office. Daxton gasped, pain and terror mixing on his face. Juno crouched, gripping his hair and forcing him to look at Amanda. Do you understand? You've set in motion consequences that you cannot undo. Death would be too easy. You will live to understand the weight of every choice you've made. Amanda's heart pounded in her chest. She had imagined this moment countless times, but nothing prepared her for the terrifying reality of Juno's controlled fury. Every word, every movement, radiated power and inevitability. After a long, tense pause, Juno straightened and turned to Jean. Prepare him for public exposure. Let him see the world knows exactly who he is and what he's done. Amanda's stomach twisted. Public exposure? Her life had always been private, carefully reconstructed from the ruins of her past. She glanced at Juno, his eyes softening slightly as they met hers. He will learn, he whispered, without touching you again. In the next moments, Daxton was led out to a small crowd of onlookers, his girlfriend trailing behind, both shocked and terrified. Shoppers and security personnel whispered among themselves. The mall transformed from a place of opulence to a stage for humiliation and justice. Amanda felt a strange sense of relief, mingled with fear. This wasn't revenge in the way she had imagined. It was far worse for him. The public humiliation, the undeniable exposure of his cruelty, it would leave a permanent mark. And Juno would ensure every person knew exactly who Daxton was. Are you sure about this? Amanda asked quietly, her voice trembling as she watched Juno handle the situation with precision. He looked at her, dark eyes softened by the smallest trace of tenderness. I promised you, Amanda. He will never touch you again. Not physically, not emotionally. Not ever. She swallowed, nodding. I trust you. Juno leaned in, brushing his lips to her temple. Good. Now let's finish shopping. Christmas isn't cancelled. Amanda laughed softly despite herself, the tension easing just enough to remind her that life had continued. The mall, once a place of fear and confrontation, began to regain its glossy, festive atmosphere. The whispers still floated through the air. Later that evening, as snow began to fall softly outside the massive glass windows of their penthouse, Amanda and Juno sat together, wrapped in a blanket, the warmth of the apartment a sharp contrast to the chaos of the day. She leaned against him, feeling the steady beat of his heart, the power and security radiating from him. You're incredible, she whispered. Not just for what you did today, but for everything. You make me feel safe. Juno's fingers brushed her hair back gently. You were already strong, he said. I just recognized what everyone else missed. Today you saw the truth of that strength. He didn't stand a chance. And the world will now know as well. Amanda closed her eyes, letting the tension leave her body. For the first time in years, she felt truly safe. Not just from Daxton, but from the memories, the pain, and the sense of powerlessness that had haunted her for so long. Her phone buzzed again. A message from Jean. Situation handled. Mall security reports are filed. Everyone is safe. She smiled faintly. Finally, it seemed, the past could not reach her anymore. She was no longer the girl with nothing, no longer the abandoned woman haunted by betrayal. She was Amanda Kyung, wife of Juno Kyung, untouchable, strong, and finally free. The following days were a blur for Amanda. The news of Daxton Wellington's public humiliation had gone viral. Social media was ablaze with videos from the mall, hashtags of justice and revenge trending, and news outlets dissecting every detail. Amanda, however, was focused entirely on the quiet recovery of her own life. The world outside buzzed with chaos, but inside the penthouse, she found warmth and calm in Juno's presence. Juno watched her one evening as she rearranged the Christmas decorations. He leaned against the doorway, arms crossed, the shadow of a smirk playing on his lips. You've been quiet, he remarked, tone teasing but tinged with concern. Amanda laughed softly, spinning around to face him. I'm just letting it all sink in. That I survived him, that I survived everything. Juno stepped closer, cupping her face. You didn't just survive, Amanda. You conquered. You rebuilt. And now, you're untouchable. You've turned pain into power, grief into glory. You've done what most people can't even imagine. Her eyes softened. I never could have done it without you. She faltered, emotions threatening to spill. Juno silenced her with a gentle kiss, holding her like he would never let go. 2 weeks later, Amanda was walking through the boutique-lined streets of Seoul, a coat snug around her shoulders, a soft scarf brushing her neck. Holiday shoppers bustled around her, unaware of the drama that had unfolded weeks earlier. Her phone buzzed. It was an unknown number. She answered cautiously. "Hello." A familiar, cocky voice greeted her. "Amanda, it's me." She stiffened. "Daxton. Don't. I need to see you," he said, voice trembling. "I need to explain." Amanda's grip on the phone tightened. She could feel Juno's presence behind her, although he hadn't said a word. She took a deep breath. "You don't get to explain. You left me for dead. You took everything from me. I'm done." "I know," he whispered, desperation seeping through. I was wrong. I didn't know what I had. I. She cut him off. "It's too late. You don't get that life back. You lost it the moment you walked away. The only life I have now is mine, and it's better than anything I could have imagined with you." The line went dead, leaving Amanda with a strange mixture of triumph and lingering unease. It was closure, but also a reminder of how fragile the past could feel. That evening, Juno held a surprise for her. The elevator opened, and she stepped into a room transformed. A lavish dinner was set by the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul's skyline, snow falling softly outside. Candles flickered, casting a warm glow. Her favorite music played quietly in the background. Juno approached, hands behind his back, the smirk returning to his face. "I wanted to remind you, life can be beautiful, even after darkness." Amanda's breath caught. "You did all this?" "For you," he said simply, sliding into the chair beside her. "Because you deserve more than anyone could ever imagine. And because I wanted you to know, no matter what, I am yours. Always." She reached across the table, taking his hand. The warmth of his palm, the steady heartbeat, the absolute certainty in his eyes, it made the world feel safe again. Safe enough to dream, to hope, to live. A soft chime at the door signaled a message. Amanda opened it and froze. It was a package from an anonymous sender. Inside, a small note. "You've taken back your power. Keep it. A friend." And along with it, a rare designer bracelet she had admired months ago, but never dared buy herself. Amanda laughed softly, overwhelmed. Juno leaned close. "I see someone has been keeping tabs on you," he murmured, a playful glint in his eyes. She shook her head, smiling. "It doesn't matter. Nothing matters as much as this. As us." Weeks passed, and Amanda returned to her teaching, her life steeped in normalcy and the satisfaction of regained dignity. Yet every now and then, she caught a glimpse of the headlines. Daxton's business collapsing under scrutiny, his reputation ruined beyond repair. Public apologies and legal troubles followed him like shadows. Amanda felt a quiet satisfaction, but she did not gloat. She had transcended the rage and betrayal that had once consumed her. Juno, meanwhile, remained her unwavering protector, confidant, and lover. They traveled, celebrated holidays, and enjoyed the luxuries of their shared life, but the foundation of it all was something far deeper. Trust, love, and a shared understanding of pain overcome. One snowy Christmas morning, Amanda looked out over the city, Juno standing beside her, arms around her waist. "Do you ever think about the old life?" she asked softly. Juno kissed her temple. "Sometimes. But it's just a shadow now. You are brighter than anything that ever hurt you. And I will make sure the shadows never touch you again." Amanda leaned back against him, closing her eyes, feeling a profound sense of peace. The girl who had been abandoned, bruised, and broken had grown into a woman untouchable and unstoppable. And alongside her, Juno was more than a partner. He was a force, a fortress, the perfect counterbalance to her resilience. The world outside buzzed with life, chaos, and the mundane challenges of everyday existence. But inside the penthouse, with the soft glow of Christmas lights and snow outside, Amanda finally allowed herself to believe in something she hadn't in years. A life reclaimed, a love that healed, and a future she could truly call her own. As the first snowflakes drifted past the window, Amanda smiled at Juno. "We survived," she whispered. He pulled her close, whispering back, "Not just survived. We conquered." And for the first time in a long time, Amanda felt whole. Amanda thought the storm had passed. She had survived Daxton, rebuilt her life, and found love and safety with Juno. But sometimes, the past doesn't stay buried. It claws its way back when you least expect it. It started with a single message on her phone, from an unknown number. You think he was the only one? You don't know what's coming, Amanda. Her stomach twisted. She looked up at Juno, who had been lounging nearby, casually reviewing financial documents. "Juno, someone's threatening me," she whispered, panic creeping into her voice. Juno's head snapped up. His eyes darkened instantly. The calm mask replaced by the predator Amanda had come to both love and fear. "Show me." Amanda handed him the phone. He read the message, a slow, deliberate motion that made the blood drain from her face. Without a word, he rose and disappeared into his private office, leaving her trembling on the sofa. Minutes later, he returned with his phone connected to a secure network. His 6 men stood silently behind him. "They tracked you, Amanda," he said quietly. "Daxton was just the start. You've made enemies far deeper than you realize. Someone powerful doesn't want you happy, and they're willing to act." Amanda's chest tightened. "Who? Why? I've done nothing." Juno's voice was steady but deadly. "Because they fear what you represent now. A woman who rose from nothing. Someone who took back her power. Someone connected to me. And some people don't forgive." Before Amanda could respond, a loud crash echoed through the penthouse. The sound of glass shattering made her heart leap. Juno's men moved immediately, training weapons on the entrances, while Juno's hand went to hers, firm and grounding. A shadow flickered in the corner. Before anyone could react, a figure lunged, masked, armed, and fast. Jean tackled the intruder, fighting him to the floor, while Taeyong restrained another attempting to breach the private quarters. Amanda clutched Juno's arm, her pulse racing. Juno's voice was calm but cutting. "Everyone stay down. Nobody moves." His eyes locked on the intruders, calculating. "They are skilled. Professional. This is personal." The masked assailant struggled against Jean, pulling a small device from his pocket. Amanda's breath caught. "What is that?" Juno snatched it away with ease, flipping the device to reveal a small detonator. His dark eyes met Amanda's. "They planned to hurt you, to send a message. This wasn't random." Her hands shook violently. "Why? Who would?" Juno didn't answer. Instead, he moved with lethal precision, disarming the remaining attackers. Within moments, the penthouse was silent except for heavy breathing. The masked assailants were restrained, their faces revealed. Corporate mercenaries hired by a shadowy figure from Daxton's past connections. Someone wealthy, influential, and utterly ruthless. Amanda's heart pounded. I thought it was over." Juno cupped her face, his expression a terrifying mixture of love and menace. "It's never over, Amanda. Not while you're mine. And I don't plan on letting anyone threaten you again." Amanda swallowed, her fear mingling with awe. "What do we do now?" Juno's lips brushed her temple. "We make them regret ever thinking they could touch you. And we find out who dared. Whoever it is, Amanda. They will learn the hard way that messing with you is a mistake they will never live down." Her phone buzzed again. Another anonymous message appeared. "You have no idea what's coming. Your happiness is temporary." Juno crushed the phone in his hand. "Temporary," he growled. "You don't understand. Your happiness isn't temporary when I'm involved. Whoever sent this, they're about to regret it." Amanda shivered, both terrified and exhilarated. The quiet life she had been promised had exploded into chaos. But she knew one thing. With Juno by her side, she was unstoppable. Minutes later, Juno activated a secure network. His men traced the origin of the threats, the numbers, and the digital footprint. "They're smart but not smart enough," he muttered. "They want fear. They want chaos. They're about to find out they've picked the wrong target." Amanda looked at him, her lips trembling. "Juno, I thought I was finally free. I thought the worst was behind me." He smiled, dangerous and reassuring all at once. "The worst just showed up at our door. But that's the beauty of it. Together, we're untouchable. And tonight we send a message. The snow fell softly outside the penthouse windows, hiding the city in a white blanket of calm. But inside, the calm was a lie. Amanda's life had been irrevocably changed. The past had returned, but this time, she wasn't powerless. She was Amanda Kyung, survivor, fighter, queen of her own destiny. And with Juno, she was unstoppable. A new chapter was beginning. The question wasn't whether she would survive. It was how beautifully, ruthlessly, and spectacularly she would rise. Amanda sat with Juno in the strategy room. Monitors lining the walls with live feeds from the city, security cameras, and digital footprints of the attackers. Her pulse raced. Every new piece of information painted a clearer picture of how deeply the threats had been orchestrated. Juno leaned over the main console, eyes scanning data. "They're not amateurs," he said. "This is calculated. Someone wealthy. Someone connected. They wanted to destabilize you, Amanda. They wanted you afraid, vulnerable. But they underestimated you, and me." Amanda swallowed, trying to steady her hands. Who could do this? Who would even know about me? Juno's expression hardened. Daxton wasn't acting alone. This goes deeper. He has people from his father's old company, rivals, enemies he never fully revealed. Someone doesn't want you happy. Someone wants control. A message flashed on one of the screens. "You think you're untouchable? You'll regret this. Junhos já o clenched." They think words can scare us. They're about to learn that actions have consequences. He stood, his presence filling the room with quiet menace. "Amanda, you're staying here. My men are already mobilized. I'll handle this personally." Amanda shook her head, fear and frustration battling. "No, Junho. I survived Daxton. I'm not hiding anymore. I'm not letting him, or anyone else, control me. I want to face this." Juno's eyes softened for a fraction of a second. "I know you do. But trust me, you don't want to see what comes next." Minutes later, Juno and his men infiltrated Daxton's father's corporate estate. Surveillance footage had revealed meetings with shadowy figures, discussions about Amanda's life, and payment for hired operatives. Juno moved like a ghost, silent, precise, leaving no trace except the fear he instilled. Inside the estate, they confronted the lead operative. Juno's voice was ice. "Who's behind this?" The man hesitated, then smirked nervously. You can't touch him. He's untouchable." Juno's hand shot out, gripping the man's collar. "Untouchable?" His voice low, lethal. "Nobody is untouchable. You endangered someone I love. That makes you vulnerable." The operative stammered. I was hired. I don't know who." "Enough," Juno said, throwing him against the wall with brutal force. Amanda's name hung in the air like a challenge. "Tell me everything, or the consequences will be far worse than anything you imagined." The operative spilled details. Daxton's allies had planned to ambush Amanda multiple times, using fear as leverage. The final revelation was shocking. The mastermind wasn't Daxton himself. It was an influential investor in his father's company, someone who had grudges against Amanda indirectly through her connection to Juno. Amanda's stomach twisted. This isn't just about Daxton?" Juno shook his head. "No. This is about power. About control. About punishing anyone who disrupts their plans. They underestimated you. And they underestimated me. But that ends tonight." Back at the penthouse, Amanda watched from the window as Juno executed a meticulously planned strike. Every move, every step, broadcast control, surveillance, and coordination ensured that no collateral damage would harm her. Juno cornered the shadowy investor, a man whose arrogance had led him to believe he was untouchable. The confrontation was chilling. The man had expected wealth and influence to protect him, but Juno's presence obliterated any sense of security. "You threatened someone I love," Juno said quietly, deadly calm. "You thought you could manipulate fear. You thought you could touch Amanda Kyung and get away with it. You were wrong." The man tried to speak, to bargain, to explain, but Juno's cold stare silenced him. "Every action has consequences. Yours start now." Amanda's heart pounded. torn between fear for Juno's violence and exhilaration at the justice being served. From the window, she saw the man collapse, defeated not by words alone but by the undeniable power of someone who would not be crossed. Later that night, Juno returned, walking into the penthouse with the quiet confidence of a man who had erased threats, secured his wife's safety, and sent a clear warning to anyone foolish enough to challenge them. Amanda ran to him, relief flooding through her. "It's over." Juno pulled her close. "For now. But remember, there are always people who underestimate us. Always. What matters is that we face them together. You are never alone." Amanda rested her head against his chest. I can't believe this. Everything I feared, everything I worried about gone." Juno smiled softly, brushing her hair back. "Not gone. Controlled. Handled. And if anyone ever tries again, they will learn what it means to cross me. And you." Amanda laughed softly, tears streaming. "I feel free. Safe. Loved." Juno kissed her forehead. "You're more than that. You're Amanda Kyung, survivor, queen untouchable. And I'm lucky to be the one standing beside you." The snow fell outside, blanketing the city in a serene white glow. But inside the penthouse, warmth, love, and the fierce power of protection radiated. Amanda finally allowed herself to believe in a future where she could thrive, where love was safe, and where betrayal would never again define her. And deep down, Amanda knew one thing. The chaos of the past had forged her into someone unstoppable. The storms would come, but with Juno, she could face anything, conquer anything, and rise higher than ever before. The night ended with Amanda and Juno on the balcony, city lights glittering beneath them. Amanda whispered, "We survived everything, even them." Juno pressed his forehead to hers. "Not just survived. We conquered. And the world will remember it." The wind swirled around them, the snowflakes catching in Amanda's hair. And for the first time, she felt completely, utterly, unshakably safe. But Amanda knew, deep in her soul, that life would continue to test her. And she was ready. The days after the confrontation were quiet, almost unreal. Amanda walked through the penthouse like she was floating, the weight of fear and danger finally lifting. But even in this calm, she knew life had a way of testing those who had survived the storm. Juno never left her side. Even when she returned to teaching and her public life, he shadowed her in ways subtle yet protective. He never intruded, never smothered, but always ensured her safety without her even noticing. Amanda found herself smiling more, laughing more, and slowly letting herself believe in happiness again. One evening, Amanda stood on the balcony, looking over the Seoul skyline. Snowflakes drifted lazily, and the city's lights sparkled like stars. Juno stepped up behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist, resting his chin gently on her shoulder. "You've changed," he murmured. "Not just in appearance, but in strength, in spirit. You're unrecognizable from the girl Daxton left behind." Amanda leaned back into him. "I feel like a different person. And yet, I feel like I'm finally myself." Juno smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "You are Amanda Kyung, the woman who turned pain into power, grief into grace. You survived every storm, faced every enemy, and came out untouchable. And I'm honored to stand beside you." Her lips curved into a soft smile. "I couldn't have done it without you. Without us." Juno's eyes darkened with a dangerous yet tender intensity. "Us. Always. Nothing can touch us. Not the past. Not enemies. Not fear. Together, we are unstoppable." Suddenly, Amanda's phone buzzed. Another unknown number flashed. She froze, heart racing. Juno noticed immediately. "Let me see." She handed him the phone. This time the message was different. "You've won for now. But the game isn't over. Watch your back, Amanda Kyung." Juno crushed the phone in his hand, the action deliberate, cold, and protective. "Let them try. I'll make sure they regret even thinking of you." Amanda pressed her hand to his chest, feeling the steady beat of his heart. "I used to be afraid of life. Of people. Of betrayal. Now, I feel alive. I feel like nothing can touch me. And you make me feel complete." Juno leaned down, his lips brushing hers. The kiss was slow, deliberate, full of unspoken promises. Amanda's heart fluttered, the tension of the past months melting into warmth and security. "You've earned this," Juno whispered against her lips. "All of it. Happiness, love, peace. And no one can take it from you." Amanda closed her eyes, savoring the moment. For the first time in years, the pain of betrayal, the trauma of Daxton, the fear of being powerless, it all faded. She was free, whole, and loved. The next morning, Amanda returned to her teaching duties with a new energy. Her students noticed a glow in her, a confidence in her voice that hadn't been there before. Even small interactions, the laughter of children, the smiles of colleagues, felt richer, more meaningful. She realized she wasn't just surviving, she was thriving. Later that day, Juno surprised her with a small, private celebration on the penthouse terrace. Lights twinkled around them, soft music played, and a table was set with her favorite foods. He handed her a small box. Inside, nestled in velvet, was a ring, not an engagement ring, but a delicate symbol of love and commitment between them. Amanda's eyes filled with tears. "Junho, I." He silenced her with a kiss, laughter and emotion mingling. "No words needed. This is for us. Always us." She hugged him tightly, burying her face in his chest. "I love you," she whispered. "And I love you," he replied. "More than anything. Forever." Weeks later, Amanda received an unexpected visit from Daxton. He looked smaller now, defeated, no longer the arrogant man who had once destroyed her world. He stood at the penthouse door, hands trembling. "Amanda." He began. Amanda raised a hand, stopping him. "You don't get to speak. You don't get an apology. You don't get anything. You lost that chance the moment you left me." Daxton swallowed, shame and regret etched across his face. I was wrong. I see that now. I see what I lost." Amanda's gaze was steady, unflinching. "You lost more than you realize. But it's not my job to repair you. You made your choices. I made mine. And I chose to rise." Juno stepped beside her, protective and commanding. Daxton's eyes flicked nervously between them. He realized instantly that this Amanda was not the same girl he had left behind. She was stronger, wiser, untouchable. Amanda turned to Juno, their fingers entwined. "This is my life now," she said softly, but firmly. "And nothing from the past can take it away. Not him. Not anyone." Daxton nodded, defeated. He turned and walked away, the weight of his choices crushing him silently. Amanda didn't feel satisfaction in his downfall. Only the quiet triumph of her own survival, and the unwavering love of the man beside her. That night, Amanda and Juno watched the city lights from their balcony. The snow fell softly, and the world seemed calm. But Amanda knew she was ready for anything. She had faced betrayal, loss, danger, and fear, and had come out stronger than ever. Juno held her close, whispering, "No matter what comes next, we face it together. And nothing will ever break us." Amanda smiled, her heart full. Together. Always. And for the first time in her life, Amanda truly believed it. She was Amanda Kyung, survivor, queen, and untouchable. The past had shaped her. The storms had tested her. And the love she had found had completed her. The future was hers. And she would live it fiercely, freely, and without fear. Amanda thought the night of peace had arrived, but the city had other plans. A single ping on her phone shattered the fragile calm. "You survived the first storm, but the next one will take everything. Watch carefully." Her hands trembled as she showed Juno. His jaw tightened instantly. "Or someone testing our defenses." Amanda shook her head. "I don't know. But the tone, it's personal. Like they know you too." Juno's dark eyes narrowed. "Then we find out. Tonight." By the time Amanda realized what was happening, Juno had already mobilized his team. Jean and Taeyong were on high alert, surrounding the penthouse, scanning every shadow. Amanda's heart pounded, part fear, part adrenaline. She had survived Daxton, mercenaries, and shadowy, corporate assassins. But now it felt like the city itself was conspiring against her. Juno turned to her, his voice low, dangerous. "Stay inside." Don't move. Not for a second. This is my fight. Amanda wanted to protest, but she stayed put, watching as he vanished into the night, his presence already swallowed by Seoul's labyrinthine streets. Minutes passed like hours. Then came the sound, shattered glass, metal scraping against marble, a faint explosion in the distance. Amanda's stomach dropped. She grabbed her phone, ready to call, when Jean appeared at the door. They're not after you, not yet. They're sending a message. Amanda's pulse quickened. What kind of message? Jean didn't answer. He only held up his tablet, showing surveillance footage from a nearby luxury shopping district. Shadows moved swiftly, masked figures, armed and coordinated, storming through high-end boutiques. Their target. Anyone remotely connected to Amanda. Amanda's mind raced. Juno, she whispered. Before Jean could respond, another ping. We know who protects you. We know who loves you. We're coming for everything you hold dear. Juno returned moments later, calm but with fire in his eyes. It begins, he said. His hand went to hers, gripping tightly. Amanda, tonight you'll see the full extent of their recklessness. And we'll remind them, nobody touches you, nobody threatens us. Without consequences, they'll never survive. The city erupted in chaos as Juno coordinated strikes from his private network. Masked attackers moved through the streets, trying to breach secured areas, but every step was anticipated, every movement countered. Amanda watched from the penthouse as the battle unfolded below. Her fear mixed with awe. Juno was relentless, precise, lethal. Every enemy that dared step closer to her life was neutralized with a terrifying elegance. Then a deeper danger appeared. A helicopter hovered near the penthouse, floodlights sweeping across the terrace. Amanda gasped. The attackers had escalated to aerial surveillance. Juno didn't flinch. They want spectacle, he murmured. They'll get something else entirely. Jean and Taeyong moved to secure the terrace. Amanda's heart pounded as Juno activated a security override, locking all access points, and deploying countermeasures that left the intruders stranded, frustrated, and exposed. A message flashed across Amanda's phone. You can't hide forever. We're watching. Juno snatched the device. They're arrogant, overconfident, and now desperate. Desperation leads to mistakes. Suddenly, the helicopter surged forward, attempting a landing on a nearby rooftop. Juno's men fired precision shots, forcing it to pull back, retreating into the distance. Amanda's breath caught. They're insane. Juno's voice was deadly calm. They think they control the narrative. They don't. They're playing a game with someone they don't understand. Amanda. I've built a storm they cannot weather. And I will protect you with everything I am. The hours stretched on, each moment more tense than the last. Amanda felt the adrenaline, the fear, the pulse of the city beneath her, and the constant awareness that danger could strike again at any moment. Yet through it all, she clung to Juno, the anchor in a sea of chaos. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the chaos began to recede. The masked figures were neutralized, the helicopters gone, and the streets silent once more. Amanda's hands shook as Juno held her close. They'll regroup, he murmured. But tonight they learn the cost of challenging me, of threatening you, of underestimating Amanda Kyung. Amanda pressed her forehead to his chest, heart racing. I don't know how I survived this world, she whispered. You do, Juno replied, kissing the top of her head. You survive because you're strong. Because you're smart. Because you're untouchable. And because I'm with you. Forever. Amanda closed her eyes, letting the warmth of his embrace wash over her. She had survived Daxton, betrayal, mercenaries, and shadowy enemies. But this night solidified something in her heart. With love, courage, and the right ally, no storm could ever break her. A final ping appeared on her phone. This one was different. We'll be back. Amanda Kyung. Enjoy your false sense of security while it lasts. Amanda smiled, a mixture of defiance and exhilaration. Bring it on, she whispered. I'm ready. Juno held her tighter, his voice low, intimate, and deadly. Let them come. We'll make sure they regret even thinking of you. Outside, the snow fell softly, blanketing the city in deceptive calm. Inside, Amanda and Juno stood unshaken, untouchable, and united. Two forces no one could hope to break. And somewhere in the shadows, their enemies realized, too late, that Amanda Kyung was no longer the helpless girl of the past. She was a storm, a queen untouchable, and protected by a man whose wrath knew no bounds. The night ended with Amanda looking at the city lights, determination blazing in her eyes. This was just the beginning, and she was ready for whatever came next. Amanda tried to return to normal life, teaching, walking through Seoul's streets, smiling at students. But every corner of her mind was alert. Every shadow felt like a threat. Every notification on her phone made her jump. Junyo no chisid. Amanda, you can't live like this forever, he said, his arms wrapped around her in the penthouse late at night. Fear has no place with us. They've tested us. We've proven we're untouchable. But now it's time to end this permanently. Amanda swallowed hard. End it. Permanently. Juno nodded, ice cold, calculating. We send a message that echoes through the city. Whoever dares challenge you, challenge us, will pay in ways they cannot imagine. No loose ends. No threats left alive. Tonight we finish it. Amanda's pulse raced. Part of her wanted to protest, to let the world heal slowly. But another part, a fire she hadn't felt in years, roared to life. She nodded. Then let's do it. Together. By nightfall, Amanda, Juno, and the core team assembled in a secure, undisclosed location. Screens line the walls, showing live feeds from multiple corners of the city. Targets, accomplices, potential threats, everything mapped and tracked. Juno's hands moved over the controls with lethal precision. This is it, he whispered. Tonight, they learned the cost of touching Amanda Kyung. Hours passed as their plan unfolded. Operatives moved like shadows across rooftops, alleys, and backstreets. Every attempt by their enemies to infiltrate or intimidate Amanda was neutralized before it could even begin. Then came the final confrontation. The shadowy mastermind responsible for orchestrating attacks and sending anonymous threats. Amanda's eyes widened as Juno revealed the target, a man named Sebastian Kwan, a corporate power broker with ties to Daxton and international connections. He had thought himself untouchable. He was about to learn otherwise. Juno's voice was low, almost a growl. Amanda, stay here. Watch and learn. This is what happens when someone underestimates you. Amanda's heart pounded as she watched from a secure vantage point. Juno moved with silent precision, cornering Sebastian in his high-rise office. The man's face drained of color as Juno entered, aura of menace radiating. You thought you could manipulate, intimidate, and threaten the woman I love, Juno said calmly. You were wrong. Dead wrong. Sebastian tried to laugh, nervously. You can't touch me. I'm connected. I have power, influence. Juno interrupted with a controlled, lethal stare. Power? Influence? That's meaningless when you threaten someone untouchable. And Amanda is untouchable. Amanda's chest swelled as she watched. Juno moved closer, his presence a shadow of death and dominance. Sebastian tried to escape, but Juno anticipated every move, cornering him until there was no room left. You ruined lives, Juno said. You destroyed happiness. You thought you were untouchable. Tonight, you learn the meaning of consequences. Amanda watched, heart racing, as Juno immobilized Sebastian, using not brute force but the terrifying precision of a man who could strike anywhere, anytime. Sebastian's arrogance crumbled into fear. Juno finally spoke to him, voice icy. This is your final warning. If anyone ever touches Amanda Kyung, if anyone ever threatens her, they will meet the same fate. You are lucky to walk away tonight, because mercy is rare in my world. Remember that. Sebastian collapsed to the floor, trembling, nodding violently. I understand. I swear I won't. Juno left him there, a warning etched into his expression. Amanda's eyes met his across the cityscape. Relief, love, and exhilaration flooded her. The danger had ended. Not through words, but through action, power, and unshakable unity. Back at the penthouse, Amanda ran into Juno's arms. Tears streamed down her face as she clung to him. It's over, isn't it? Juno held her tightly, face buried in her hair. For now. But know this. Nobody will ever threaten you again. Not Daxton, not Sebastian, not anyone. You are mine and I am yours. Untouchable, unshakable, unstoppable. Amanda laughed softly, a sound of pure relief and triumph. I feel alive. I feel free. I feel powerful. Juno kissed her forehead. You are powerful. You survived betrayal, loss, and danger. You rebuilt yourself from ashes. And now you shine brighter than anyone who ever tried to dim you. The city lights flickered in the distance. Amanda held Juno's hand, feeling the steady pulse of life, safety, and love. She realized that everything, the pain, the loss, the betrayal, had forged her into someone unbreakable. That night, they celebrated quietly. No grand gestures, no social media posts. Just Amanda and Juno. Two souls united, undefeated, and ready for whatever the world dared to throw at them next. As Amanda rested her head on Juno's chest, she whispered, "Thank you for saving me, for loving me, for standing with me through everything." Juno smiled, brushing her hair back. "No, Amanda. You saved yourself. I only recognized the warrior within, and I will always fight to protect her." The snow fell outside, blanketing Seoul in a serene glow. Amanda finally allowed herself to believe in the future, in love, in safety. She was Amanda Kyung, survivor, queen, untouchable, and loved beyond measure. And deep in her soul, she knew this was not the end. But with Juno beside her, she could face anything, conquer everything, and rise higher than she had ever imagined. As they held each other, the world outside seemed distant, meaningless. Here in the penthouse, in the glow of victory, Amanda smiled. She had survived hell, faced monsters, reclaimed her life, and most importantly, she was never alone again.